Welcome to the Rewriting Naruto series part 65. This is a series of videos where I rewrite Naruto, making changes to improve the story for my personal taste. Everyone, please like the video, support the rewrite series, don't forget to subscribe as well and ring notifications so you always know when the rewrites come out, and let's get going with a pain arc. Shikamaru ran through the wet streets of the Leaf Village, trying to get out of the rain as soon as possible. Every step he took splashed water around him. Other villages that were on the street also ran for cover. Oh, what a drag. This rain came out of nowhere, Shikamaru told himself, looking up as he finally got to his destination. Kurenai opened the door abruptly. Come in, before you get a cold! Shikamaru ran into her apartment. It was in a calm part of the village, away from the center. Oh, damn it, I'm ruining your floorboards, Shikamaru said, dripping water, and Kurenai laughed. It's okay, she said with a smile, but you know, you don't have to come by every day. The baby's almost here. I have to help you guys out whenever you two need. Lightning flashed in the sky as the heavy rain fell on the paths of Pain and Konan, who stared at the Leaf Village wall. The sunny morning had turned so dark, it felt like night. A faint glow seemed to bleed out of the 6 pairs of Rinnegan, which from a distance were the only distinguishable features out of the silhouettes in the darkness. We will split into 3 groups: Diversion, Support, and the Hunt. In Diversion, Shurado, Chikushodo. In Support, Gakido, Jigokudo. In the Hunt, Konan and Ningendo. Tenda will be both in Diversion and the Hunt, the Deva Path said. From there, Pain and Konan will explain about the Konoha chakra barrier, and Pain will use the same infiltration method, tossing the Animal Path, and the Animal Path summons all other 5 into the Leaf Village. They disperse and begin the attack like in the original. The Asura Path launches a barrage of dozens of chakra flares that substitute the missiles in the rewrite. They explode several buildings around the Leaf Village amid the rain. The Animal Path summons an ungodly amount of gigantic beasts depicting the Rinnegan that fan out and wreak havoc, clashing against buildings and spreading all around the Leaf Village. We get the scene of the Hyuga Barrier Ninja and the other Leaf Ninjas reacting to the start of the invasion. We also get the scene of the Human Path reading the mind and yanking the soul of a Leaf Ninja. Those 2 are going to remain the same. Yes, Shino actually came by yesterday with his father after a little training session, Kurenai told Shikamaru. You shouldn't be training anyone while you're pregnant, you know? Shikamaru was still drenched. Kurenai had given him a towel which he rubbed on his face and hair. Oh, come on, Shino said the exact same thing. Shino is smart. And so are you. I guess being smart comes with becoming a bit risk-averse. I don't know about that. During my last mission, A cascade of explosions interrupted Shikamaru. He stood up with a terse motion and ran to the window. What he saw made him gasp. Several explosions erupted all around the village. Thick columns of black smoke rose amid the rain, and large beasts trampled whole buildings. Most of them were far away from Kurenai's apartment, but that was bad. It's them, the Akatsuki. They have finally come for Naruto. Kurenai-sensei, I have to get you to safety. When Shikamaru turned back to face Kurenai, her expression was strange. A mix of shock, anxiety, and bewilderment. Shikamaru, the water broke, Kurenai said, and her face twisted in pain as she touched her belly. Shikamaru came running to her. Are you okay? Yes, it was a contraction. The baby's coming. I have to get you to a bunker right now. I don't think the hospital is going to be safe. Kurenai nodded. I can't believe this is happening now. It's gonna be okay, don't worry. A massive explosion erupted close to them, exploding the wall of Kurenai's apartment into 1,000 pieces of rubble and shattering the windows. Shikamaru managed to shield Kurenai from the flying debris using his own body. He grunted in pain as the rain now pelted the destroyed living room. Come on, we have to go. Shikamaru grabbed Kurenai by the hand, but Kurenai stood up, wincing. He noticed a piece of wood had passed him and hit Kurenai's shin, piercing it through and exiting from her calf. Sensei, bite this. Shikamaru gave her a piece of cloth, which she bit. He yanked the wood out of her leg with a swift motion, and Kurenai let out a yelp of pain, biting the cloth hard. Shikamaru bandaged her leg, tying it firmly to stop the blood from coming out. Shikamaru, you're bleeding, Kurenai said, noticing blood dripping out of his Konoha vest from the level of his waist. The rubble had hit him hard. The back of his vest had taken a lot of damage. The debris ripped it and torn it apart. Don't worry about me. Let's go. Next, we get the scene of Naruto sparring with Fukasaku in Mount Myoboku. That scene remains the same, but in the rewrite, it offers a nice contrast in terms of the weather. In the Leaf, it's raining so hard the day has almost turned into night. In Mount Myoboku, there isn't a cloud in the sky. The time has come. Terai, you know what to do, Danzo told a Root Anbu member, observing the rising clouds of smoke in the distance. They were inside a small building. Yes, my lord, it will be done, the masked man answered and dashed away. Sakura healed an injured man in the rain. Her hair was utterly drenched. "You're gonna be fine. I'll heal you enough so you can make your way to the bunker." She looked up, seeing the smoke. "Damn it, that jutsu's not ready yet," she thought in frustration, touching her forehead with her free hand. "You have to hurry and get back, Naruto. This could get ugly. We have no idea how many enemies are attacking. We need you here," she thought, finishing the healing. "Now go!" The man stood up, nodding and thanking Sakura in appreciation. We now get the scene of Inoichi entering the brain of the Rain Ninja and Ino stepping by to warn her father about the situation in the village, which is going to remain the same. The great animal path bird screeched a terrifying sound that echoed around the village as it flew up high in the sky. It laid its eggs, which landed and exploded, destroying several buildings in a trail of destruction beneath. A platoon of leaf ninjas attempted to shoot long-range ninjutsu and weapons, but the bird flew much too high for them to be effective. "Damn it! We need somebody with better long-range ninjutsu!" a leaf chunin shouted. "I'll take care of that thing," Shino said, appearing out of nowhere on the rooftop of a building and jumping up. Before he started descending, a great swarm of insects exploded out of his gourds. The golden thief bugs and toe biters flew around him, and his regular insects formed a platform under Shino so he could fly. He cut through the heavy rain, which hit his sun goggles, but that didn't slow him down one bit as he rose up into the sky to meet the bestial bird. Shino sent several small swaths of golden thief bugs to intercept the falling eggs. The bugs held the eggs up in the sky until they exploded, assuring they wouldn't damage the village below. A stream of powerful explosions ruptured the air because of that, as Shino chased the flying monster. The golden thief bugs survived the explosions and regrouped to catch more eggs every time they were blown away. The female animal path looked up and observed the aerial battle from a hidden spot next to a small house. "That one could be a problem," she said, weaving hand signs. "Summoning jutsu." A cloud of white smoke expanded, and out of it emerged a massive dragonfly depicting the Rinnegan with several metal rods pierced all over its body. It had two pairs of wings that beat with ferocity, blowing the rain with its 20 meters of wingspan. The dragonfly darted up with amazing speed as Shino prepared to attack the bird with his toe biters. Getting close to it in the sky, he was forced to veer left and dodge the dragonfly, which cruised right next to him, trying to rip him out of the sky. "What a huge insect. Such a shame I cannot take it," Shino thought. Both the bird and the dragonfly turned 180 degrees in the air and darted at Shino at the same time. "They are faster than I expected for their size." As both creatures were about to clash against Shino, simultaneously coming from opposite sides, the golden thief bugs all converged on him and formed two large golden shields that hovered next to Shino. The two flying monsters impacted the shields, and the golden thief bugs held long enough so Shino could drop. A hole opened on the insect cloud he hovered on and he fell, leaving the range of the monsters. But a massive wasp came from below, also depicting the strange eyes and rods all over its body. Above Shino, the golden thief bugs disassembled and darted down, but they wouldn't get there in time. The wasp pointed its stinger towards Shino, and there wouldn't be any shielding from the golden thief bugs this time. But the toe biters formed a platform next to Shino, which he grabbed and pulled himself out of the way of the massive stinger. That thing was larger than Shino himself. It missed him by a hair, and Shino cruised the rain sideways. The cloud of insects reformed beneath him, and the three flying monsters now gave chase, screeching after Shino. The golden thief bugs reformed around Shino, forming a golden cloud. "This is getting dangerous. I didn't want to spend them so soon, but I guess I have no choice, especially with that one pooping out eggs that explode the village," Shino thought, looking at his pursuers above his insect cloud. He changed directions and flew straight up. The three summons did the same, and they all climbed above the leaf village. But that was exactly what Shino wanted. He sent the golden thief bugs that hovered around him down in three separate swarms. Now, each swarm landed around the head of one of the creatures. A golden blur engulfed their heads, and the insects made a sharp sound from the violent vibration they were creating. The rain pouring on the golden thief bugs became steam before it could even touch them, and the massive creatures now screeched in agony as the golden thief bugs fried their brains. The three gigantic monsters poofed away, disappearing into white smoke above the leaf village. Shino recalled the golden thief bugs back into their gourd, and a cry of victory came from below as the battalion of leaf ninjas celebrated Shino's victory. Now we get the scene of Fukasaku explaining to Naruto that he'll be on Naruto's shoulder to maintain Sage Mode during battle. One small difference in the scene is that Shino will not go to look for fresh ingredients. The rest remains the same. "Get up! Come on!" Iruka said, lifting a young boy off the wet ground. He was not badly hurt, but he had fallen because of the shockwave of an explosion. Iruka kept running, and he saw a man wearing a black cloak with red clouds touching the head of a leaf ninja. The Akatsuki pulled something with a violet sheen from the leaf ninja's head. It gave off shimmering light, and the ninja fell to the ground motionless. "I have to warn Lady Tsunade about this right now," Iruka thought. A couple of other leaf ninjas engaged the Akatsuki, which didn't allow the enemy to go after Iruka. He was close to the Hokage's building. He had to inform her and head back out to help as best as he could. Now we get the scene of Shizune in the autopsy as she figures out the rods are chakra receivers. One small addition to this scene is that the lab will be trembling from the attack happening outside the village. Now we get the scene of Tsunade staring out the window and commanding the Leaf Village to sound the emergency alarm and also to recall Naruto. The only change here is that it will be raining heavily outside. The Asurapath charged the flash cannon on top of his head and shot a massive chakra blast, destroying several buildings, just like in the original. As the buildings toppled, a loud siren began to ring. Tenten saw the Akatsuki destroying all those buildings. She looked around herself. That section of the village was heavily damaged. "The alarm is sounding. I hope the civilians can make it to the bunker." The Asurapath shot a barrage of missiles, hitting several leaf ninjas that were closer to him than Tenten was. They exploded and died. "Damn it! I don't have time to use that jutsu now," she thought, summoning a large scroll. "This one will have to do." She grabbed the great scroll and opened it, weaving hand signs. "Ninja art! Grand swarm of—" A section of the building a dozen meters above Tenten broke off from the damage, and a brick plummeted down, hitting Tenten on top of the head. Her body collapsed on the ground. The thick scroll unrolled itself as a pool of blood began to form around her head, mixing with the rainwater. Next, we get the scene of Sakura punching one of those centipedes and helping the little girl. The scene remains the same, with Iruka telling her to go to the hospital and heal the wounded. The next scene is the one when Tsunade is about to tell the messenger frog to recall Naruto and the elders stop her. But she has none of that, and lifts them off the ground by their collars, giving a speech about the will of fire. The scene ends with Shizune entering Tsunade's office. Shikamaru and Kurenai walked along the rainy streets of the Leaf Village. Kurenai lived in a part of the village that was far from the center. There weren't too many people around, as most villagers were faster to run towards the bunkers. Kurenai's arm was around Shikamaru's shoulder. She limped because of the wound she took to her leg, and she was also slow because of the baby. Kurenai winced in pain, stopping in her tracks. She took her hand to her belly. More contractions, and they were getting stronger. Kurenai looked down and curled her body, screaming in pain, as a gust of rainy wind blew at her long hair. "Sensei, come on, we have to get going." Kurenai started walking again, but Shikamaru twisted around, grabbing a kunai with his only hand and swung back behind Kurenai. The human path blocked the kunai strike with a Rinnegan rod. As he was about to touch Kurenai's head, he slided back, leaving a trail on the muddy ground. "Impressive. You noticed my presence," Pain said. Shikamaru had seen the reflection of the dark figure on the wet ground. He assumed it was someone about to attack them, especially because of how it moved towards them. She would even attack a pregnant woman. "You truly are the worst this world has to offer." Shikamaru stood in front of Kurenai, kunai in hand. He looked back and saw her big pregnant belly, which made the image of Asuma dying flash in his mind. "Naruto Uzumaki, where is he?" Shikamaru scoffed. "That ain't gonna work. Tell me, and I let her live." "Shikamaru, I can give you backup," Kurenai whispered, wincing in pain. "But you, are you really going to debate me in this situation?" He nodded at Kurenai and stared back at Pain. Lightning flashed in the sky behind him. "You know, I've killed an Akatsuki before. Actually, no, what I did to him was so much worse." Shikamaru smirked. He dashed forward, his feet lifted up water off the ground, and he prepared to strike with his kunai. Pain did the same, wielding the metal rod. Now we get the scene of Shizune explaining that the black rods are chakra transmitters to Tsunade. Tsunade tells Shizune to go relay the information to the interrogation corps and gives her an ambu cell as an escort. Tsunade heads to the rooftop of the Hokage building to send her healing to the village. This scene ends with Danzo killing the messenger frog. It doesn't get any changes in the rewrite. Now we get the scene of Kona interrogating those leaf ninjas, which she suffocates with her papers. And yet, they give her no intel. It remains the same. The Preta Path absorbed ninjutsu coming from all sides among the wreckage of a destroyed house. Leaf ninjas surrounded him, and yet their jutsus were ineffective. He absorbs ninjutsu! One of them yelled. Attack him directly then! They launched shurikens that spun in the rain, but the bulky Path of Pain blocked them using a Rinnegan rod. His arm moved very fast. 4 ninjas rushed him in close quarters, but the Chunins were outmatched. The Preta Path blocked their attacks, pairing the Konoha blades with his rod and counterattacking. They were quickly cut down. Would he back up? He's too strong! Another Leaf Ninja yelled, who stayed behind, retreating for the battle. Now we get the scene of the Naraka Path interrogating a ninja inside a home, and that one remains the same. The Deva Path casually walked along the Leaf Village. People ran away from him, crying in desperation. A squadron jumped from a building above, launching kunais with paper bombs, but Pain dodged the explosions. His movements were quick, leaving what looks like an after image in the rain. 3 shinobi jumped down to strike, but before they could touch the ground, they were launched away, splatting on the buildings nearby like insects, their bodies mangled. Curse you! Another Leaf Ninja shouted, weaving hand signs. He spat a water missile which Pain dodged. He jumped up, and reaching the man in an instant, he caught the man's wrist, which was stabbing a kunai at him. Where is Naruto Uzumaki? Who the hell knows? Pain stabbed him through the heart with a rod. He jumped back down, and as he landed, buildings around him exploded as if an invisible wave of power hit them, coming out of Pain. More Leaf Ninjas flocked to his location, but Pain dodged their attacks and countered with his rod. He quickly took down 6 more Leaf Ninjas. When an ambuscale arrived, weaving hand signs, they were shot away alongside a building in the same direction. Pain only needed to extend his hand, and they were done for. But one of the Ambu was stubborn. He managed to create a chakra shield to cushion the impact, surviving Pain's jutsu. He stood up limping and motioned to run away, but he was pulled through the rain, flying to Pain, who caught him by the neck. The Ambu's mask, which had cracked after he was flung, broke off and fell off his face. He couldn't be older than 20. The Ambu looked at the Akatsuki's eyes as the rain pelted them both. Coming here was a mistake. You're gonna die today. Where is Naruto Uzumaki? The Ambu lifted a weak arm that trembled in the rain and pointed to the left. Over there. Pain looked to the side. There was nobody there. Got you, you idiot. Pain snapped his neck and tossed his body aside. He continued forward. The Deva Path was a force of nature. It destroyed and killed whoever he came across. Shikamaru's kunai clashed with a Rinnegan rod, igniting sparks in the rain. They exchanged quick blows, but Shikamaru was getting pushed back. He had only one arm after all. Damn it. If I had worked harder, I would have mastered one-handed hand signs by now. I can't use my ninjutsu, he thought, blocking a strike. After a sequence of parries, Shikamaru's kunai broke, which left him exposed. Pain motioned to stab him through the heart, but in the nick of time, Kurenai cast a paralysis genjutsu, stopping the path's movements. Wincing, holding back Pain from another contraction. No! Shikamaru! He picked another blade from his pouch, this time a familiar one, and motioned to cut the enemy at the neck. Shikamaru slashed with Asuma's dagger, aiming for the kill, but Pain sprung into motion and parried his strike with a Rinnegan rod, following it up with a powerful kick to Shikamaru's gut, which sent him bouncing on the wet ground, splashing water along the way. Asuma's blade flew off his hand, up in the air. What? How did he break out of my genjutsu so quickly? Kurenai thought in terror as Pain looked at her with those disturbing eyes. Shikamaru clutched his stomach and stood up. Asuma's kunai fell back down, but as he was about to pierce the ground, Pain tossed a small orb which ignited into pure light. A flashbang? He's wiping away his own shadow so Asuma's dagger won't bind him with my shadow possession, Shikamaru thought, dashing back at Pain. The kunai pierced a shadowless ground. The heavy rain made it so shadows were extremely faint anyway, and the flashbang had destroyed Pain's shadow, which meant Shikamaru's plan failed. He deliberately tossed Asuma's kunai up to bind his enemy's shadow when it hit the ground. How did he know my plan? Shikamaru wondered, but at least that gave him enough time to reach the human path before he got to Kurenai. He picked Asuma's second dagger and met Pain's Rinnegan rod with it, fighting with all he got, with the only arm he had left. Kurenai grunted in pain, kneeling and twisting her body. The contractions were getting worse. Interesting plan you had, but my eyes could see the yin release chakra signature inside the kunai. It was Just like Jiraiya-sensei taught shadow manipulation, Pain said as he unleashed a barrage of strikes with the rod, which Shikamaru barely managed to dodge. Jiraiya-sensei? What does he mean by that? Shikamaru thought, but it didn't matter. The clashes of metal were accompanied by Kurenai's screams. They didn't have much time. She seems to be suffering. Perhaps I shall put an end to it. Pain dodged one of Shikamaru's slashes and went around him. Shikamaru tossed Asuma's second blade at Pain's shadow, which was passing right next to him, but Pain shot a Rinnegan rod, intercepting it mid-air, and made his way to Kurenai. Kurenai! Shikamaru screamed, running after him as he was about to stab her, but Kurenai sprung into motion, unsheathing a kunai and lunging at Pain, using her good leg. Pain blocked her attack, but that bought time for Shikamaru to reach Pain from behind. That scream. You were acting, Pain said, creating a second rod with his other hand and blocking Shikamaru as well. I am in pain, but that doesn't mean I can't fight for my child. You are not in pain. You have no idea what pain truly feels like. The human path dual-wielded his rods, clashing against Shikamaru and Kurenai's blades. Even though it was a 2 against 1, Pain still had an ample advantage. Kurenai's movements were sluggish, and Shikamaru had only one arm. Several clashes of metal echoed in the rain, but that wasn't enough. Shikamaru couldn't use paper bombs because Kurenai could get hurt, and setting up wire traps would be useless against those eyes. That dojutsu. It seemed stranger and more powerful than the Sharingan. Shikamaru knew they were going to lose. It was just a matter of time, so he did the only thing he could, a desperate attempt to call for help. In the middle of their clash, Shikamaru tossed a kunai with a paper bomb attached to it up in the air. It exploded high above them, and he hoped that would serve as an emergency flare. Kurenai's face wrinkled and her movement stopped. A powerful contraction. It made her defenseless. Pain thrusted the sharp rod and pierced flesh, splashing out blood that mixed itself with the rain. Now we get the scene of Tsunade setting herself up on the Hokage building rooftop and summoning Katsuyu, which splits and sets out to the whole village to heal the wounded. That scene remains the same. The Preta Path absorbed Shikaku Nara's shadow possession jutsu. He grunted in frustration. It's useless, sir! Ninjutsu doesn't work against this guy! He swallows everything! A young Chunin told Shikaku. There were 5 other leaf ninjas with him. They had been running away from the Preta Path when he arrived, and now they were trying to keep the Akatsuki away from civilians. Then I guess we have to engage him in Kenjutsu and Taijutsu, Shikaku said. We tried, but he took out at least 10 Chunins and a Jonin. He's no slouch in physical combat! Shikaku winced. Truth be told, I was never that great at taijutsu. His face soured. You should have listened to Shikamaru and trained more physical combat, you old fool, Shikaku thought to himself. The Preta Path tossed 2 Rinnegan rods, which Shikaku blocked by stretching out his shadow and raising it off the ground as a shield. The Preta Path dashed and kicked one of the Chunins whose guard was down, shattering his ribs and launching him away. He tossed another Rinnegan rod at Shikaku. This time, it broke through his shadow, destroying the dark shield. Shikaku dashed to the side at the last second, but the Rinnegan rod nicked the side of his shoulder, drawing blood. With the weather so overcast, my shadows also get substantially weaker. I'm useless in this fight. He grabbed a smoke bomb. I have to run away. Shikaku motioned to throw it on the ground in order to disorient the enemy. Sir, don't! The enemy can see through smoke and dust! We've already tried it! The young Chunin said as the Preta Path pierced a member of his squadron, killing him in the spot. What about Genjutsu? We've tried that too! It looks like he can break out of any Genjutsu in an instant! If ninjutsu, Genjutsu, and misdirection don't work, then the only alternative is Taijutsu, Shikaku said, tossing a barrage of 8 shuriken at the enemy who blocked him, dual-wielding Rinnegan rods. He followed that up with a kick that sent another leaf ninja from the squadron away, and with the same motion he broke through the guard of another one and stabbed him through the heart. And he's way better than me at Taijutsu. When have I become so complacent? Shikaku thought in frustration. Pain turned towards him, looking him right in the eye. I can see your inquisitive look. You're just like the other one. Your son, perhaps? What? Tell me where Naruto Uzumaki is, and this attack on your village will cease, and perhaps your son may survive. Shikamaru. Is he engaged with one of the others? He was going to visit Kurenai, he thought in alarm. Go to hell! No, that is where you are going. The Preta Path dashed at Shikaku, who readied himself, knowing he had no chance in close quarters combat. All he could do was die for his village. Dynamic entry! Rock Lee landed a flying kick on Pain's chest, which sent him sliding on the wet ground. Lee landed and stood in front of Shikaku, facing the enemy, assuming the classic stance, with one hand pointing up in front of his face and the other one behind his back. I brought reinforcements! You sent a jutsu specialist, didn't you? Another Chunin who came running after Lee said, panting. Yeah, that's what I said! The young Chunin replied. He was the only one with Shikaku that remained standing. I'll take care of this one. You guys can go and help the other villages with the evacuation, Lee said, with his gaze still fixated on Pain. It's too dangerous to take him on alone. We'll give you backup, Shikaku said. Forgive me, Mr. Shikaku, but if what I heard about the enemy is right, your talents would serve the village better elsewhere. Don't worry, I've got this, Lee said, looking back with a smile and holding up the nice guy sign to his side. Shikaku saw Might Guy projected over the boy after what he said. He smiled and nodded. Come back alive, lad, Shikaku said, taking a wounded ninja on his shoulder and jumping away with the other two Chunins. Shikamaru and Kurenai might be in danger. Should I go after them? No, I have to focus on the task at hand. First take this guy to the hospital, and then do whatever it takes to defend the Leaf Village. It's time to believe that the new generation of Konoha shinobi will make the difference. He looked at Lee, who was now far away, readying himself to battle the Akatsuki. A Rinnegan rod crossed Shikamaru's shoulder, exiting from his back. Shikamaru chose that shoulder to block the attack because he didn't have an arm there anyway. Pain had elongated the rod, stretching it through Shikamaru's body and towards Kurenai. But even though he suffered the agony of his chakra being disturbed, he diverted the attack's trajectory using his body to make the rod miss her. She was safe, for now. Pain motioned to stab Shikamaru with his other hand, but he managed to block it with his blade. But Pain followed through, rising his knee and hitting the middle of Shikamaru's face. The Rinnegan rod which pierced Shikamaru broke off with the force of the impact. He felt his nose shattering and was flung back, bouncing on the ground, and landed farther from Kurenai than Pain was. Pain dashed at her. Shikamaru's eyes locked in. He couldn't let the Akatsuki touch her. He hadn't yet mastered one-handed hand signs, and Pain would get to Kurenai much before he could, so Shikamaru didn't have much of a choice. He remembered Asuma's final lesson. Protect the king, he said, looking at Kurenai's pregnant belly. She was having the strongest contraction yet, which paralyzed her momentarily. She wouldn't be able to do anything against Pain. Bleeding from the piercing wound, Shikamaru ignored the pain and concentrated. He released the limiter of his brain, unlocking 100% of the power of his muscles, opening the first inner gate. Powered by the will of fire itself, Shikamaru's legs exploded into action. He cruised the wet ground, opening a water groove on the wet surface. He slashed, reaching Pain in an instant before he could get to Kurenai. Pain reacted, blocking with the Rinnegan rod, but Shikamaru followed that up with a roundhouse kick, hitting Pain on the stomach. The Akatsuki got launched away, hitting a broken wall a dozen meters behind him. Shikamaru motioned to follow through, but the inner gate faded. He was not good at keeping it activated. It only lasted a few seconds. An intense wave of pain washed over his body as his muscles became too strained from the effort, which made Shikamaru stumble. The human path rose back up. Why defend her with so much gusto? You could have escaped with that boost of speed instead. Shikamaru looked at Pain with an expression of confusion and disgust, as if he couldn't even fathom the words his enemy uttered. In what world would you consider doing something like that? What kind of demonic person do you have to be to even think about it? Shikamaru motioned to move forward, but his legs gave out. He fell to his knees just like Kurenai, who was now grunting in pain from her contractions. Foolish child. I am not a person. I am a god. Now, feel pain. He tossed a Rinnegan rod with great speed at Shikamaru. His arm was trembling. There wouldn't be enough time for him to raise his kunai and block it. A toothpick was spat. It intercepted the Rinnegan rod midair, diverting its trajectory away from Shikamaru. A ninja landed in front of him, facing Pain. And you are? Genma Shiranui, he said, picking a new toothpick from his pouch and bringing it to his mouth. Genma, I'm glad you're here. No worries. Shino asked me if I could check on Kurenai. He's helping on the evacuation of a collapsed building with his insects. I saw that explosion in the air and made my way here. Can you take Kurenai with you? Shikamaru stood up with difficulty. I'll manage, he said, ripping a small piece of paper bomb and putting it on his wound, the one the Rinnegan rod had opened on his shoulder. He picked his lighter and ignited it. The paper bomb emitted fire and light, which passed all over Shikamaru Shikamaru's wound exiting from his back, cauterizing it. The pain was excruciating, but he barely grunted. "I'll take care of this one. You two go," Genma said as Shikamaru put Kurenai's arm around his shoulder, and they made their way out. The human path tossed a kunai at them, but once again, Genma spat his toothpick and blocked it. He looked at Pain with rather disappointed eyes and brought another toothpick to his mouth. "I said I'll take care of you. I guess you didn't hear me." "Where is Naruto Uzumaki?" Genma cocked his head, looking at him amused, and reached once more for his pouch, looking for something. "I think he's right here." Genma took his hand out, holding nothing, and showed Pain the middle finger. Pain was unfazed. "I see you prefer death. Very well. I shall grant it to you." Moans of pain and the crying of women and children inundated the hospital wing. There were hundreds of people laid down on makeshift beds. The structure of the building trembled from time to time due to the explosions happening all around the village and the trampling animals. Medic ninjas ran frantically, administering medic ninjutsu on the wounded. More and more civilians and ninjas piled in by the minute. The floor of the hospital was already drenched because the people coming in were all soaked from the rain, and also there was a lot of blood. In the chaos, Sakura was in the midst of healing her 20th patient of the day. She had already watched many people succumb to their wounds and die, but Sakura did her best to banish any thoughts, other than to heal as many people as she could. The little boy she was healing had been pierced by a thick steel beam through the gut. His breath was shallow, and his bleeding was profuse. Sakura sweat, watching the boy's eyes closing. "Stay awake, okay? Stay with me. Listen to me. Concentrate on my voice." The boy slowly turned to her, opening his eyes a little bit. "Is my mom okay?" the boy said with a weak voice. Sakura didn't know his mom was, but she forced a lie to calm him down and also calm herself. "Yes, she's fine. She's gonna be okay. Now stay with me." The boy's eyes glazed over and Sakura felt his heartbeat drop. Her face wrinkled a bit, but she had to remember her training and bury her emotions. Sakura declared the boy dead and moved to the next patient. "Lady Tsunade has summoned Katsuyu. She'll be using healing ninjutsu around the village. It should alleviate the pressure here," a medic ninja said near Sakura as she began to heal a middle-aged woman with a gash on the side of her head. This one wasn't as serious, even though she was bleeding a lot. Sakura would be able to stop the bleeding, though her hair would never grow again there. Relief washed over Sakura once she learned that her master summoned Katsuyu. With her chakra reserves, they would be able to reduce casualties significantly, but still, the Akatsuki had to be dealt with. Sakura was conflicted. She knew they were here for Naruto, for the beast inside of him, but she felt like Naruto was the only one who could deal with them. Three Chunins rushed into the hospital in utter desperation. "Evacuate! Evacuate now!" This created a wave of panic around the wounded. "Silence! We can't evacuate them! Look at their state! They can barely move and you're just making everyone here anxious!" Sakura whispered in anger. "There's a huge monster coming this way! It's gonna flatten the entire building!" Sakura heard what sounded like the stampede of a gigantic beast. It made the hospital building shake violently. Outside, a 15-meter tall hippo with Rinnegan rods pierced all over its body, and with the Rinnegan made its way towards the hospital. The humongous creature charged, destroying everything in its path, creating a small crater with each step. A few ninjas used long-range ninjutsu and tossed ninja weapons, but they were completely useless, bouncing off the thick hide of the creature. "Damn it! It's going to destroy us!" The ninja screamed next to Sakura as the hippo was about to hit the hospital. Sakura shot out of the building. "I'm not letting you through!" She tackled one of the hippo's legs, focusing her chakra on the soles of her feet to glue them onto the ground, and also on the palm of her hand so she could stick them to the hippo's hide. She managed to slow the beast down with her gargantuan strength, but the ground was slick from the rain. The hippo still pushed, even though Sakura applied all her strength against it. "Bastards! They are even targeting the hospital!" Sakura thought, looking behind her as people were desperate, too wounded to flee as the nightmarish creature was about to trample them. A small squadron of ninjas lobbed paper bombs, but they might as well have tossed small paper balls. The hippo was going to crash into the hospital and kill hundreds of people. Rock Lee dashed at the Preta path. The Akatsuki produced 2 Rinnegan rods, one in each hand, and darted forward, dual-wielding them. Rock Lee dodged the initial stab and made his way forward, kicking the Akatsuki. The Preta path dodged and struck with his second rod, but Rock Lee caught this one in his bandaged hand. The two moved fast, throwing countless attacks and counters amid the broken buildings and the street, as a powerful gust of rainy wind assaulted them, lifting up Rock Lee's bowl cut. Lee hit the Preta path with a punch, but the Preta path stabbed Lee in the leg. It wasn't a deep gash, but it still hurt. They were equally matched. This guy is really quick for his size. Should he already open the gates? I could finish this quick, but if I go too far, my body will be too damaged to help out more, Lee thought, as a large explosion ignited in the distance. That made Lee worry even more. Maybe I could use that new jutsu, even though I'm not sure I'm 100% with it. He remembered a conversation he had almost a week ago. Rock Lee panted from several hours of harsh training late at night. His face dripped in sweat. If I train for 30 more minutes straight, then I'll go to bed. If I can't do it, I'll have to do 100 extra push-ups. Lee clutched his fist, thinking about the next step for his training. Hey, Lee! A voice came from behind, a voice he recognized and quite liked. He quickly turned around and immediately blushed, seeing Sakura. Was she looking at Lee training? Could that be real? Hey, Sakura! How's it going? Why is she here? Late at night. Oh, wow! Is this really happening? Lee thought. I want to talk to you about the inner gates. Oh, of course. It's about training. Lee was a bit disappointed, but still excited. You want to master them as well? I helped Shikamaru out with them. I can definitely help you too. You're really talented, Sakura. I'm sure you can learn much faster than me. Well, I'm not here to learn them exactly, no. Oh, I see. That's because I have already mastered the first gate at least. I think that type of power can synergize really well with other abilities that I have. You know, I can heal my body, so the inner gate damage won't be as bad, and so I can sustain them for longer. Really? You mastered the gates already? That's amazing, Sakura! Well, thanks, Lee, but it's nothing compared with what you can do. I can only go up to the first gate for now, so... Do you want to learn more gates? I can help you with that. Well, maybe one day. I have other things to train as well, and before I progress to other gates, I still need to unlock a certain ability. But I'm here with a suggestion for you. Oh, really? What is it? Yeah, well, I know the inner gates are your specialty, so I don't want to be arrogant or anything, but I think I came up with a very interesting way to use the gates, and I don't know if you've realized it yet. Of course, you can tell me anything. What new way? What do you mean? This is really exciting. You see, the gates grant you this absurd amount of additional strength by releasing the safety mechanisms in your body and enhancing your power through the overflowing of chakra. The more gates you open, the more that chakra flows. But it is chakra at the end of the day, and chakra can be controlled, meaning that you can control it when your gates activate or deactivate. Of course, it gets harder the more gates you open because the chakra flow increases, and I'm sure it becomes impossible once you open the 8th gate, but controlling your chakra to regulate the gates could be very useful. I mean, I can open and close the gates at will, but the problem is that once you open the gate and close that gate, it's not very effective to reopen the same gate shortly after if you don't rest. It's actually going to be ineffective and you're not going to have as much power, so you have to go a gate beyond. That's why the Lotus always progresses to further gates. I know, but that's because you allow the gate to affect your entire body, and also for a relatively long period of time. But this is the discovery I made while I was training to open the first gate. You can actually use the gates in very short, localized bursts, closing the gate almost as soon as you open it. This can give you a very specific but important boost mid-battle, and you can choose the section of your body you're enhancing. Of course, it won't make you as powerful as opening the gates around your entire body or anything, but because it's localized and much shorter, it doesn't damage your body nearly as much. So, someone like you, who's used to having the gates activated for a long time and has trained so much, probably will barely feel a short gate burst. Rock Lee's mouth hung open, as if he was seeing the Sage of Six Paths in the flesh. What? You can do that? Control your chakra while it's overflowing with the gates? That should be impossible. The level of chakra control required is off the charts. Sakura smiled and blushed, putting her hand behind her head. That's my speciality. Chakra control and everything. With the first gate, which releases the limiters in the brain, allowing you to unlock 100% of your muscle strength, I found that you can actually control which muscles are going to get that 100% of their power, and the others don't have to get that strain. And because it can close the gate so quickly, really? Yeah, it is still kinda sore after it's done, but it's not nearly as bad as it could be. And because I can heal myself, that's barely a problem. I can administer magic ninjutsu and just fix my muscles if they break. So as long as I have chakra, I can use those gate bursts, and they're very good. I don't know if it will work with other more advanced gates, but it certainly works with the first gates. And because it's chakra, I have to assume it works as well. It's just gonna be harder to master. That's incredible. This means you can actually use the gates for a very long time. If you add them all up, all those bursts with the healing, it could make you invincible. Well, I wouldn't say invincible, but that's sort of the idea. And you can also do the same thing, at least with the first gate, but I think you can do it with more gates, even though they're gonna get harder. I'm amazed. If you master that with the first gate, I don't see why you wouldn't be able to with the other gates. Well, mastering higher gates by themselves already requires a lot more effort than the first gate. Mastering the quick burst after that is another question, but I haven't yet gotten there. You have, though. I can show you how to do it. I think it could be very useful for you. I'm not talented enough, Sakura. I can't learn something like that. But please, show it to me. I'd love to see it. Of course you can learn it, Lee. You may not be able to mold chakra to use ninjutsu, but you can still control your chakra. You can walk on water, you can walk on walls, and you've managed to master all the way up to the 6th gate. There's no way you're not mastering this jutsu. It's just another facet of the gates. And you're the specialist. I'll make sure you master it. As a thank you for everything you've done. Lee nodded and began to cry. You're too nice, Sakura. Thank you. She patted him on the shoulder. Also, I named the technique after one of your jutsus. I hope you don't mind. No, not at all. Of course not. That's amazing. Rock Lee dodged the Rinnegan Rod and counterattacked with a punch, but the Pretapath was fast. He dodged the counterattack and struck the other arm, grazing it and drawing Lee's blood. Yeah, I'll try Sakura's jutsu. No, I'll do it. It's either that or using the gates fully, but I have to stay fresh to help the village out. So it's decided. Sakura roared in the rain, trying to stop the great animal path hippo, tackling its leg. The monster bellowed. It was almost at the hospital. If you think you're brawny, it's because you haven't seen me! Sakura's right fist began to glow with her chakra, and she closed her eyes. First gate, the gate of opening. Open! Rock Lee concentrated, dodging Pain's Rinnegan Rod. Third gate, the gate of life. Open! Both Lee and Sakura concentrated the power of the inner gate solely on their right arm. They felt strength surging in those muscles as they brought their arms back, preparing to punch. The patients in the hospital screamed in terror as the hippo's mouth touched the hospital wall. Shut it off! Sakura screamed, jumping up towards the monster's belly and swinging the punch. Rock Lee caught the Rinnegan Rod with his left hand and swung his right hand with a motion that blasted rain outwards. Sakura and Lee's arms exploded in a gust of speed. Sudden Lotus! Rock Lee and Sakura's fists hit their targets, creating a powerful shockwave upon impact. The Pretapath was flung back, rocketing like a missile through the rain. The hippo was launched up in the air. Its massive body flew back with a large, bloody section where Sakura's fist struck. The Pretapath hit a damaged building 40 meters away, exploding the concrete wall. As the hippo bounced on the street in front of the hospital, landing far away from Sakura, it puffed away into white smoke. The medic ninjas and a few patients who weren't too hurt cheered in relief behind Sakura. Pain had landed inside the room. He was dead. Blood dripped out of his mouth and his stomach was blown open from Lee's punch. Awesome! One less to attack the village, Lee thought after going into the room and make sure Pain was truly dead. He jumped away, looking for another enemy to fight or people he could help. A few seconds later, the Pretapath poofed into white smoke and disappeared. It reappeared from white smoke next to the animal path who had summoned him in another place in the Leaf Village, a hidden location among buildings. It didn't take long for the Naraka path to reach that location. He extended his hand forward, reaching for the Pretapath, and the King of Hell manifested itself behind him. Shikaku Nara and a few other ninjas carrying wounded arrived at the hospital shortly after Sakura defeated the Animal Path Hippo. Good job killing that thing, Shikaku told Sakura as they entered the hospital. Thank you. Put him here. I'll administer healing ninjutsu. Sakura gestured to a makeshift bed after they got inside, leaving the rain. You're Sakura Haruno, right? Yes, sir. She began to heal the men Shikaku brought in. Shikamaru told me about you. Sakura stopped the healing. The man stirred and moaned in pain. I finished first aid. He should be fine. I can't heal him all the way through because I have to conserve my my chakra. Healing ninjutsu takes a lot of it. Good, thank you. But you know, you shouldn't be here, Sakura. Huh? What do you mean? I just saw what you did outside. I also read some mission reports about you. You're too strong to stay cooped up in this hospital. You have to get out there. Help with the fighting. We have too many wounded. I have to stay and heal them. They'll be fine. Lady Tsunari's taking care of that, Shikaku said, pointing to the hospital entrance. A dozen of Katsuyu's clones entered the building and began to heal the people on makeshift beds. In a situation like this, the civilians and Genin are to seek shelter. The Chunins are to help with the evacuation and protection of the civilians, while us Jonins are to deal with a threat. Come on, let's head out. Sakura nodded, standing up. Shikaku and her dashed out of the hospital into the rain. The village now had several focuses of fire, and thick columns of black smoke rose everywhere into the stormy clouds. Lady Hanabi, we have to go now, an adult member of the main family said. They were in the Hyuga clan complex. I'm not leaving. My father built this place. I'll protect it until the end. I'll honor his memory. If you stay here, you're going to die. Lady Hokage sounded the evacuation alarm. We're not safe here. We have to go to a bunker. I don't care. I am already a Chunin. I can take care of myself. Two more adult Hyugas entered the room, both from the main family. Their foreheads were exposed and clear of any cursed seal. Lady Hanabi, please. Your father wouldn't want you to die like this. The elders have already evacuated. Everybody has. We have to go. Another Hyuga said. Go to hell. I'm not going to. A massive explosion destroyed the walls of the room and sent them flying amid the wreckage. Hanabi let out a scream of pain as she was flung into the ground. A large piece of concrete landed on and shattered her leg. Are you okay? One of the Hyugas said. He was hurt, but he got up, coughing because of the smoke. I'm fine, she said, trying to stand up. Blood dripped over her left eye, but she couldn't move because of the concrete. The Hyuga tried to lift it up, but it was too heavy. No, we have to go! The Yasura path landed a few meters away from them, opening a crater on the ground from the force of the impact. The four Hyugas activated their Byakugan and assumed the characteristic gentle fist posture. Hanabi, though, she couldn't move. Her leg was pinned. Those pathetic eyes of yours, take them back to your grave, Pain said, pointing his arm at them, which turned into a chakra cannon. Hanabi tried to force her leg from beneath the debris, but she couldn't. Get Lady Hanabi! One of the Hyugas shouted. Too late. Pain released a thick chakra beam straight at her. It turned the rain into steam, giving off blinding light. But before it could hit anyone, a figure appeared in front of the chakra beam, spinning in violence, creating a chakra rotation that rivaled the power of the chakra beam. The beam clashed against the spinning chakra. It got scattered, hitting several sections of the buildings around the half-destroyed Hyuga complex, but it protected Hanabi and the other Hyugas behind it. Pain seized the chakra beam, and the rotation stopped as well, revealing Neji Hyuga. His cursed seal was displayed prominently on his forehead, in stark contrast to the other Hyugas. Take Lady Hanabi and go. I'll handle this one, Neji said. You take Hanabi and go. We're fighting him here, one of the Hyuga told Neji. No. That's an order, Neji. Go! I said no. You serve the main family. Stop trying to play the hero. Protect Lady Hanabi. Neji casually looked back at them. The sight of his Byakugan made them shiver. I don't think you understand. I'm not trying to play the hero. You have no chance of survival here. Neji blasted the rock which was crushing Hanabi's leg with an air palm without even looking at it. You just want to prove your strength, don't you? You want to prove you're stronger than the main family. You're selfish. You just want to be seen as the strongest. Hanabi shouted. No, I don't want to be seen as the strongest. I just am stronger, that's all. Now go. The adult Hyuga scowled at Neji, but one of them picked Hanabi up and they dashed away. Neji turned his Byakugan back at Pain, locking it with the Rinnegan. Now then, where were we? Watch part 66 of the rewrite right here. Don't forget to like this one, please. Subscribe if you haven't. Make sure you ring notifications so you know when the rewrites come out. Comment below what you thought about the episode, and thank you so much for watching.